Anyway, start firing away those questions. I'm going to talk about the Cleveland situation first. Very interesting situation. Injuries are really playing a key in this as well. So first of all, we know that the receivers, hey, Scott, receivers are on the COVID list, the whole group: Jarvis Landry, Rashard Higgins, Daryl Dodge, and Donovan Peoples-Jones. What I fully expect is I expect that the Browns will come out with a lot of 2 and 3 tight end personnel packages, and they will look to run. However, my concern is that both Wyatt Teller and Jedrick Wills are out. This is a very, very bad development. We knew Teller would miss, but Wills being out really hurts the situation quite a bit. So the good news is that Quinnen Williams, the Jets' best defensive run stopper, is out. They're down to a third string, right? A fourth string, right inside linebacker. Their right outside linebacker is out. So basically, they're 2 decimated units. So what we have to look at here is I still think that the Browns are able to run the ball. Again, having those 2 linemen out, that definitely hurts. I had prior to this hoping that they'd have at least one of those guys. I was thinking that Chubb was in a great spot. I think Chubb's in a good spot now, and I still think there's a chance for some upside. And it's in weekly leagues, Week 16 fantasy playoffs, you're starting him without question. He still has a great floor, and he does have something. I really think the player to watch in this game is going to be Kareem Hunt. I think they'll use him as a receiver lined up sometimes. I think they will use him out of the backfield as a receiver. I think although any of those tight ends could get targets, I think Austin Hooper could see 7 targets in this game, making him a great play against the Jets defense that can't stop them. So I wanted to start out with that. All right, let's see what questions people have here. So, all right, let's see. Josh Allen or Deshaun Watson. So, the Patriots are good defense. They're missing a lot of people. They still can do some things to slow down an offense. But at the end of the day, I don't think they have the horses to really slow down the Bills. Now, the Bills potentially could run the ball down their throats, but the Bills don't do that. The Bills are a pass-first offense. So I think the situation is that Josh Allen is going to get his pass attempts. That's just the way things kind of work. I'm scrolling my notes here, man. I just want to see what the pass numbers have been for Allen in terms of attempts. They've been high. Yeah, it's at least 40 passes in 4 of the last 5 games. So I do expect they're going to throw the ball a lot. So Josh Allen has an incredible floor. Now, with Deshaun Watson, it's a good matchup. Cincinnati may be coming off of their Super Bowl from Monday night, their win over Pittsburgh. It really may have been that. And there could be a letdown here. And we know that Deshaun Watson always has a great floor. This game may not be overly high scoring. Not that I'm thinking the Patriots-Bills game is going off either, but I think at the end of the day, I think there's more likelihood that the Bills score more points. I think both quarterbacks have similar floors. I think Josh Allen has more of a ceiling than Watson, again, because at the end of the day, they're a pass-first team, and I know that Houston is as well. So what I'm thinking here is I think Allen is probably a safer play, but they're very, very equal. If you have a gut feel, you got to roll with that. All right, let's see what else we got here. Delaney, all right. You got, would I start Allen or Jalen Hertz? You know what? Jalen Hertz, the matchup is so much easier. There's a world where the Patriots, and I'm following what Scott's questions and yours at the same time, there's a world where the Patriots can give Allen a little bit of a problem. I don't think much, but some. Jalen Hertz is facing a defense. Leighton Vander Esch, the middle linebacker, is out. Woods, the defensive tackle, is out. So I think the big one is Vander Esch. Not that he's been great, but Hertz is running design runs. And so I think here his ability to have more room to run is even better. Jalen Hertz has a phenomenal floor and an incredible ceiling. So I really think Jalen Hertz is the way to go here. Josh Allen's a great play as always, but we know Hertz, those designed runs are massive, and there's more likelihood of Philly scoring a lot more points than the Bills score. So I would go with him. If you have a gut, anyway, Week 16, anybody has a gut feel, you got to trust your gut. You got to the championship. Marvin Hall, Michael Pittman, Kiki Kute, CD Lamb, won. So I don't, I get it. People are saying Marvin Hall's the number 1 receiver. I don't know how many receivers are putting on the field. I'm expecting 3 tight ends, 2 tight ends. Kareem Hunt as a receiver, I'm expecting to see him out there lined up on occasion. Marvin Hall doesn't have reps with Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield needs comfort with receivers. I think the tight ends see a lot of passes. Could Marvin Hall do something? Yes. No chemistry. I just don't think. I think he's a very risky play. Pittman, his targets have gone through the crapper. I love Pittman as a player. They're not using him right. I don't see upside there. Kute, he was on the injury report, so he's probably not 100%. He's not a bad play. I don't think they score a ton of points here. Kute is he'll get some targets. He is a factor in the red zone. So I think Kute out of those has a decent floor. I think CeeDee Lamb's in a good spot here. Dallas is going to have to score points. And Philly's down a safety. They're down a corner. We know Slay is likely going to be on Amari Cooper. I think CeeDee Lamb has room to operate, and Andy Dalton has shown that he can get him the ball. Personally, I think CeeDee Lamb is A, the best player of that group, and B, he's in a good enough situation. So, Johnny, if it's me, I'm going with Lamb here. Kute has too much floor for my liking, and I know Lamb has a floor too, but I think this matchup lends itself better to Lamb doing well. Scott Hilton or Jalen Guyton with Keenan missing. Jalen Guyton needed overtime and a freak long play to make his day go. He is so dependent upon things happening to make it work out for him. He is so risky. Hilton at least has been a part of the offense the last few weeks. Now, do I like the matchup? Not necessarily. Both tackles are out for the Colts. That means that the blitz gets home a little quicker on Rivers. That is something that we have to be concerned with. But Hilton has been involved. And so I think Hilton has a floor. Not much, but he has a floor. You need safe 8 points. I don't know what your scoring system is. So just let's say half PPR, 8-point floor. Guyton has a floor of 2 or 3. Guyton, at this point, probably has more chance to make a big play because, hey, Barry M, hello from France. Good to see you, man. So I think Guyton, he could get a touchdown, could get a long touchdown. It's possible. Absolutely is. And Denver's been struggling. But I would probably take the floor points here because we really don't know where the targets are going. Maybe they could run more. Maybe Eckler's more involved. We know Hunter Henry's out, but Guyton's very risky. He has more, so that's your ceiling play, but he's a terrible floor. Hilton, I think, is safer. Happy holidays, Mitch. Who sits in half PPR? Lockett, Curtis Samuel, Russell Gage, or Tyron Johnson? Samuel gets his targets. I don't like the Washington matchup, but they deploy him well, and he does get enough looks, so I think he has a good floor for you. Lockett hasn't done much, but he usually gets between 40 and 60 yards in most of his games, which gives you at least a little bit of comfort there. Gage I like today. Definitely like Gage today because Falcons are down 2 linemen. The Chiefs get pressure when they can, and I think Ryan's going to have to get it out quickly. I think this turns into a big target game for Gage. I think that works extremely well. And Tyron Johnson is risky. He needed early in the game, he was involved. Then he disappeared for 2.5 quarters. Then he got to catch an overtime last week to make it work. So, but he should get targets here. I still think at the end of the day, I'm going with Lockett. I'm going with Gage. And then for my last two, really between Samuel and Johnson, and I just trust Samuel more. They might give him some runs. Bad matchup. But I still, at the end of the day, trust Samuel more than I trust Tyron Johnson. And I know the kids look good in the 2 games. I get that. I would say gut call for you on Samuel and Tyron Johnson. But I can't even say Johnson has a higher ceiling than Samuel because Samuel with the wheels could break a big play at any time. And I wouldn't trust Johnson, even though Lockett hasn't been great. I wouldn't trust him over him, and Gage has been getting targets. Robert, good to see you, man. And I see who else said, Retano, man. All right, good. Glad to see you guys here. All right. You have Crowder, Lockett, or Guyton, or Tyron Johnson. You have Herbert already for a wide receiver. Robert, do you need 2 or you just need a wide receiver 2? I need clarity on that. You can post that in, and then I'll get you that answer. I'll just break them all down for you. Let me probably just do that. So Crowder should get targets. There's nothing to worry about with the Cleveland secondary. They do have a pass rush, which makes Crowder better because there's not much time to throw downfield. So Crowder's a great play. Crowder has floor and upside. Lockett has floor, not much upside. You're going to get 40 to 65 yards, but you're kind of good there. Between Guyton and Tyron Johnson, I covered these guys a minute ago. You probably heard it. Guyton has a ton of downside. He has big play upside. Really is boom or bust. Terribly boom or bust. And Tyron Johnson disappeared for like 2.5 quarters of a game last week. So they go away from him kind of whimsically. So I really think Lockett and Crowder are your best plays. We don't know which of Guyton or Johnson will go off, or either. So I just think I would probably in week 16 go with those two. Of the two, Johnson is likely to have more targets. Guyton is more likely to make a big play. And I think that's kind of a mess there. You can follow up with a question on that. All right. If I say your name right, Ukrid out. I don't know if I don't say that right. Try my best. Antonio Gibson, DJ Moore, T. Higgins. So one breaking news I saw, and if you guys hear any inactives that come in, they didn't all come in before I started the stream. Houston's missing a safety who's a full-time player for them, and Higgins runs a lot of slot, and he probably runs more slot today with Tyler Boyd out. So I think Higgins and Brandon Allen's back at quarterback. And what we need to understand here is, I mentioned this weeks ago, Brandon Allen locks it on a wide receiver and a tight end. And when he's played, he locks in on T. Higgins a lot. So I think Higgins is going to be very, very active today. And that missing of that safety, and when he's running those slot routes, there might be better angles after the catch to gain yardage. So I really like T. Higgins here. Now, Antonio Gibson's a tough one here. Big toe's injured. That's the drive toe. That's explosiveness. He's shown he's a running back one this year. So Gibson, you're rolling the dice here that he has full explosiveness. If he doesn't have full explosiveness, the Panthers, they're on and off against the run. They are typically, Green Bay game didn't show it, they're typically way better against the run than they are against the pass. That's the way to attack them. So Gibson, look, if you've got to gamble on the toe. If you feel nobody has the medical thing on this, if you feel he has full explosiveness, which none of us know, then Gibson's your play. T. Higgins is the safest. The thing my concern with DJ Moore this week, left tackle Russell Okung is out. Washington gets a great pass rush without blitzing, and Moore has the largest average depth of target, meaning those are the longer routes to develop. And I don't know that Teddy has time to throw today. That makes DJ Moore problematic. So T. Higgins is your safe play who has floor and a little upside. Antonio Gibson's your wild card that if you're willing to risk maybe re-injury coming out, you've got to measure that risk. All right, Kavan, I see you're here as well. CD or Corey Davis. You know what? So most likely, Jair Alexander will be on A.J. Brown. I expect this game to shoot out. I think many of us do. So I think in that case, Corey Davis's targets are all over the board. When Henry goes crazy running, he gets sometimes 3-4 targets. Sometimes he'll get 10. I don't think it's a 10-target day for him, but the fact he'll draw the lesser of the corners and the fact that the play action works, I think Corey Davis is overall a bit better of a play here. CeeDee Lamb, I mentioned earlier, I like his matchup. The slot against Philly is a good place to live, and I think that we've seen Andy Dalton's willing to target him. So I'm going to say this. CeeDee Lamb has a safer floor because Corey Davis could have the 3-target game and do very little. But that said, Corey Davis, I believe, has a lot more upside because if this game shoots out, he could hit 100 yards and score a touchdown. So I think, again, you want a safe bank, come on, of 8-9 points. I think CeeDee Lamb's your guy. If you're willing to risk a potential 3-target game not coming through, but knowing you can get 15, 20 points, then I think you look Corey Davis there. Wish I had better, more succinct answer, but that's the way we got to frame these. These are all risk tolerance plays. Gallman or Zach Moss. Baltimore, despite having personnel, has been very bad against the run the last 5 weeks. They are struggling. They're like a bottom 5 run defense. Attrition has got to them, I guess, over time. I like Zach Moss. And matter of fact, last week, we saw not only Salvan Ahmed, who was terrible last night. We see he's really a middling running back, but he killed them. And then Matt Breida went for 6 yards a pop on like 12 carries. So they completely destroyed them. My question is this. How committed has Buffalo been to the run? That's the problem. Moss gets about half the snaps, and he potentially could get some red zone work, but he doesn't always. And sometimes they throw in the red zone. Sometimes Allen takes it in. And Gallman, his targets have been low, and then some weeks he's had 0. But in this specific scenario with Baltimore struggling against the run, I'm going to take my chance on Gallman. I think Gallman has a better chance of scoring a touchdown than Zach Moss. We like to see Gallman get a few targets. It's close. I'm always going to say gut feel here, full PPR. But I'm going to go Gallman here. I think the matchup is better than we think it is. Bears minus 8.5. I sure would hope so, Johnny. I mean, Glennon's a quarterback. James Robinson's out. Bears have been playing decent football. Their defense is good. You would think with a Robinson out, their running game's going to be very limited. Glennon, they know Glennon from when he was there, so they kind of know tendencies. I don't know if they're smart enough to take advantage of them, but you would think the Bears have little trouble moving the ball. All the cornerbacks are out, and their run defense is bottom. Daryl and Montgomery's been hot. I would like to think it's not a trap game. I would like to think the Bears realize they have playoff destiny in their hands now. Their fate's in their hands with Arizona having lost yesterday. So to me, that's a solid play. I would think the Bears win this game by double digits, and it shouldn't be an issue. And I just don't see the Jaguars, with Mike Glennon putting up that fight. All right, let's see what we got here. Smith's 41. Glad you're here. Okay. Need upside going against Kamara. Oh, yes. Mooney, you have A-Rob. Greg Ward, have Hertz. What I want you to understand about Greg Ward is he had 5 targets, I think. He got in the end zone twice. Very fortuitous. But they threw 44 times, which is probably not what they're looking to do. And of those targets, he was like 4th or 5th on the team in targets. Rager, Hertz, and Goddard all had more. And so that worries me about Greg Ward. I think that was a very fortuitous game. Could he score again? Yes. But if they throw the ball 32 times, then I think his targets go to 3 or 4. And I think you're really hamstrung. He's not a very good receiver. He's not fast. He doesn't get yardage after the catch frequently. So I think he's a very down play. Really get nervous starting 2 Bears. But at the end of the day, and you see Montgomery could kill them on the ground. Mooney has more upside than Ward because Mooney potentially can make a big play. He's fast. That's what Greg Ward isn't. Now, they score 40 points against Dallas. Ward can be involved. So here's what I'm going to say. Ward probably has a floor of like 5 fantasy points. I don't know what his ceiling is. Mooney could come up with a 2. But I think Mooney is more likely to see 5 to 8 targets. I think Mooney's a better play. If you got a gut feel, go with it. But I am not excited about Ward again. I don't think they're throwing 44 times again. I don't think they have to this week. Good, Kurt. I'm glad you're here because I saw you sent me something. I'm not going to be able to get anything on text-wise. I'm glad you're here. So if I have a question, I'll answer it for you. All right, Scott. Gage or DJ Moore. Kind of mentioned this earlier. Falcons are down 2 offensive linemen. Kansas City, because of that, will get pressure. Also, Hayden Hurst probably is needed to block a bit more. So in this case, I think that Gage is a natural default target in the middle of the field who should be very busy today. DJ Moore, my concern is this. Russell Okung, the left tackle's out. Washington can bring heavy pass rush without a blitz. That means Moore, who runs the longest depth of target of their receivers, he is the most likely to be impacted negatively. Can he make a big play? Always. He's DJ Moore. He's a superstar. But this said, it's not a good matchup. Washington corners have been good as well. Gage is safer. Now, DJ Moore is very risk-reward here because DJ Moore could take 2 80-yard catches to the house. They could be on slants. They could get him the ball shorter. Could happen. Gage is much safer, has a decent upside, great floor, but DJ Moore, I think, is very, very volatile here. So your risk tolerance and what you need to score in this game means it all. All right, Kurt, you got Allen or Hertz? Yes. So I'm going to say Hertz here because Allen may not need to run a lot. I don't think he will need to. I think Hertz has that rushing floor. Is 60 yards a floor for Hertz on the ground? Yes, I think so. And I think he could get 80 to 100 yards on the ground. Dallas is the middle linebacker, Leighton Vander Esch. Huge. They're also missing a defensive tackle. Not as more for Westbrook. And I call him Brian Westbrook. He's not Brian Westbrook. It's Miles Sanders. Man, I'm so old. I start calling these players that have been retired and out of the league. Anyway, Jalen Hertz. I really have to say this game is going to shoot out. Whereas I could see Buffalo not having to be aggressive offensively because New England's not scoring a ton of points. Could they score 40? Yes, they could. But I think Jalen Hertz, that rushing floor is just absolutely massive. And I think they have similar ceilings. So to me, I take the floor guy with the similar ceiling because Hertz could just go absolutely nuts here. And a 6 points passing TD, that certainly helps Allen a bit. But I just think that Philly's going to score 40 points in this game. That's my gut. If you have a gut call, week 16, you always go, you're welcome, hometown Mitch. Robert, you needed 1, and I think I broke them all down. So if I didn't answer it well enough, make sure you circle back to me. Dalton, Russell, or Herbert. Yeah, Russell is struggling against pressure lately, and they're missing Mike Iupati, their left guard. That's massive because guess who lines up across from him? Yes, Aaron Donald lines up across from him. So, man, a backup against Aaron Donald, and if they double, I really don't care. I think they're down a center from earlier in the season. I think they're working with a backup. Oh, I see Drew Davenport's in the house. Good to see him, man. All right. So, I am very, very worried about Russell Wilson here. Very worried about him. Andy Dalton, he's going to see some pass rush. Darius Slay is back for them. Now they're missing his safety, and Devontae Maddox, the other corner, is on injured reserve. That helps. I think out of these three, though, and I don't like the fact Herbert's playing a divisional opponent for the second time. Vic Fangio now has tape on him, certainly can work and deal with him. So what I think we're going to say here is Herbert, regardless, though, I think he has the highest floor of those three, and I think his ceiling is at least what those guys are. So to me, it's got to be Herbert for those reasons. I don't think there's a scenario where they have the personnel to attack Denver's weaknesses on the ground. I don't think they're a run-based team. We see Austin Eckler, but he'll catch as many as he'll run, and I don't know that the other backs are going to take advantage of that. So I would tend to lean Herbert there for those reasons. Robert, you need a flex of Anderson, Davis, or Zach Moss. I was saying earlier, Zach Moss, I like him as a player. He gets about half of the snaps, and that's a positive thing. And we saw Miami, both Salvin Ahmed and Matt Breida, just tear up New England on the ground last week. So there is some potential for Zach Moss to do really well here. The fact that they don't commit to him and give him a lot of touches worries me a little bit. Robbie Anderson this week, so he should see 6 to 8 catches, but I think it's catch and fall stuff. He has very little explosiveness, and the Washington corners are good. They get quick pass rush. So Anderson is a floor play. And half PPR, Anderson should get you 8 to 10 points. And should be fine. I don't think there's much upside ahead of that, but there's floor there. Corey Davis is interesting because he'll see 3 targets, he'll see 10 targets. Really depends how Derrick Henry's going. I do think this game gets into a high shootout mode. Corey Davis won't likely see much of Jair Alexander. That should be A.J. Brown. So I think there's going to be favorable matchups for Corey Davis here. So personally, although Zach Moss is in a good spot, I think Robbie Anderson's your floor play. You want that safe 10 points. You probably go Anderson. You're not getting much more. If you're willing to risk a 5 or a 6 that could become a 15 to 18 to 20, then I think Corey Davis is your guy there. I hope that helps, Robert. All right, let's see. Giles G-Man. All right, let's see what we got here. You got Bears or the Bills. Bills don't get a lot of pass rush. That worries me about them. And so the fact they don't get pass rush, that's what is typically leading us to getting our fumbles or sacks, pick sixes, things like that. And so I don't necessarily like the Bills. The Bears should play with the lead here. Mac has been coming on lately. He started out hot. He cooled down. He heated back up. The Bears defense, I think they're in a good spot with Mike Glennon. No James Robinson. That's huge. Having no James Robinson is huge because it really is going to put a lot of pressure on Glennon. And I think that's why I like the Bears a bit better here. All right, Robert. Yeah, Jair Alexander. Well, don't necessarily believe that. That's not necessarily true. They pick their spots on that. And matter of fact, Jair Alexander, when I watch the film, I see him frequently on the right defensive side. And that would be where I see A.J. Brown frequently on the left side. So that would be the matchup there. But he does shadow depending. If there's a situation where there's no clear number one, he hasn't shadowed, that would be correct under that guise. But I have seen him shadow top end receivers with no viable number two, which Corey Davis is not somebody a defense is worried about. So good question, good point. Partially correct, but in this case, you'll see him a lot on A.J. Brown. But again, the natural side, Alexander's frequently playing on the right side. Wilson or Matt Ryan? Well, they both have downside here. And I don't like Matt Ryan overall because he's missing 2 linemen. Chiefs are going to get pressure. Matt Ryan's, I think, going to throw Russell Gage a lot. We got Calvin Ridley. And this is the quagmire. And I'm not answering this question your way, but certainly Calvin Ridley is Calvin Ridley. He gets open. But you would think without time to throw, which is not likely to happen for Ryan, the downfield connections may not be so good. But that said, Matt Ryan's going to be chasing points. So the potential for higher scoring in that game is definitely there. I don't think that Seattle and LA game, I don't think that gets very high scoring. I think that game could go 2013, could go 2016. Whereas I think that Matt Ryan has at least garbage time going his way. And so for that said, probably going Matt Ryan. Again, Wilson hasn't, aside from the Jets game, he hasn't had the ceiling at all. He didn't throw for a touchdown the last time he played the Rams in Week 10. Now he'll probably get a touchdown today. I'm sure that Metcalf will get unlocked a little bit, but I think Matt Ryan's the way to go. All right, let's see what we got here. Johnny, yeah, good. I'm glad you wanted some props last week. Let me just check. I didn't, yeah, let's see. I went with a few, but I'm not remember. So let me see here. Taking a quick look here. I like the Miles Sanders on the rush. I got Miles Sanders over like 80 yards. I got him there because Dallas is without Leighton Vander Esch and left the defensive tackle Antoine Woods, and the gaps have been opening up for him. I did take the over on Derrick Henry's rushing yards. I can't remember exactly what the number was, but I think that Green Bay against power backs is not a good matchup for them. So I definitely liked him there. There were four. Let's see what else I can remember I went with here. Looking through here. Sorry. Those are the two. And David Montgomery. I took him. It was like 80 yards. I went over on him because Cordero Patterson has a knee injury, and I haven't seen the inactives. I expect he's not active, but in that case, he gets 85% snap share. Those are the three that I remember going with. I didn't touch the Melvin Gordon one. It looked like a good one to take. It was like 70 yards, but I got a little nervous and laid off that one. Those three are the three that I definitely liked. If you can find a prop on Cam Sims receiving yards, it'll be low. If you can find something, you probably may not be able to, but if you can find something on him, love Cam Sims. Cam Sims is a great DFS play today. He's 6'5", 214. He's a full-time player. He loses out on targets when Terry McLaurin's there, but I think he could have a massive game today. I totally like Cam Sims, and you could throw on Carolina, and Carolina's not really ready for him. All right, Scott, if I have Schefter said Tyreek, yes. You know what? My whole thought, and people ask me, I think you asked me about Tyreek in a message. You're welcome, Kurt, of course. So here's my thought of Tyreek Hill. I think we need to go over this. So look, Tyreek Hill is a hamstring. He was worked on during the game last week on the sidelines. Tyreek Hill is not 100%. The Chiefs want to win a Super Bowl. He'll be on the field. Are they going to run him on deep routes and really have him test that hamstring out? Or are they going to pick their spots at him? Or are they going to run him on some more shorter stuff? Just not compromise him. Look, if that hamstring sets back, they lose him for part of the playoffs. If he has a massive setback, that's 4 weeks. That takes him into the playoffs. I can't see the Chiefs being so short-sighted. And I want to say they have like a 2-game lead now. So even if they drop a game, I think they still have the 1 seed. So I think he's on the field. I cannot see a world where they totally let him loose. Decoy, certainly. Some slants, definitely. I just don't see it. So if you seasonal league, you're playing Tyreek Hill. Because Tyreek Hill is Tyreek Hill. You got to play him. But you're in DFS, and I'm nervous about him. I'm nervous. But you can't sit Tyreek Hill in a Week 16 championship game. If he's on the field, he's in your lineup. Can't really do much about that. All right, let's see what else we got here. Drew, yep. Oh, Drew has to join. I don't know if you're still here. Let me click in so we can see if we can get you in here. Here's some tapping. I bet you Drew's in the house. Drew, what's going on, man? I saw you click something. It has to be added, so I saw your name on here. So he has to add. So yes. So Drew, big Week 16 here. You want to help me with a couple questions, or you got time? Man, I appreciate that. Friendship wins all, man. And it's good when we have friends out here, and just happens we're both in the industry. And you know what? Friends work with friends. It's a great thing, man. I wish you tons of luck today, Drew. All right, take care, buddy. Bye. All right, Scott, you got Chad Hansen or Daryl Henderson. Well, Chad Hansen was uncovered for a touchdown last week. Otherwise, he would have done absolutely nothing. He would have completely soiled the bed. But again, Indy forgot to cover him. He literally had nobody within 20 yards of him, and he scored a long touchdown, maybe 38 yards. Daryl Henderson is going to get carries. He's going to split with Malcolm Brown. Daryl Henderson doesn't tend to get a lot of targets when it's he and Malcolm Brown on the field, but he'll get some. They did score 3 rushing touchdowns against Seattle last time. That was more of a fluke. They could have thrown him in. They didn't. I think, all right, Daryl Henderson has a higher floor here. I do think Hansen could score a touchdown. Hansen could make a big play. Teams, again, I don't think they're worried about him. I don't think they're going to pay attention to him. So I think Henderson is your safe play. If you really got to risk a 3 for a 15, then Hansen's your guy. Henderson probably gets you in the neighborhood of 7 to 12 points, probably in there. Hansen has a little more upside, I think. Henderson could score. Henderson could break off a big play. Henderson's definitely going to be part of the game plan. That'll be part of it. So we got to weigh that. But Chad Hansen scares me. And I know he's had a couple good games, but last week, just understand that was a fluke play that paid off for him. All right, let's see what else we got here. So, Drew, yep, man, I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you a lot. Robert, Browns or Philly defense? Oh, man. So, again, I think that overall, what the Browns are still going to be able to score points because Quinnen Williams, the defensive tackle, is out. He's their best run stopper. They're down to, I think, a fourth-string right inside linebacker. The right outside linebacker is out. So I still think, and even though Jedrick Wills and Wyatt Teller are two where their best linemen are out, I think they're going to play a lot of 2 and 3 tight end sets, and they're going to run the ball heavy. So I think they're going to be able to slow the game down, which is good for their defense because then the Jets are going to be behind, though. And I think that pass rush is still going to be problematic for Sam Darnold. The secondary is not good, but the Jets line isn't that good, and I think they get to him. Now, Philly, on the other hand, Philly probably plays with a bigger leader. I think they're going to score a lot of points here. And I think if you get Andy Dalton trying to chase points, I think that's good. Philly's pass rush hasn't been what it is, but Dallas' offensive line is garbage. So, honestly, I think the Philly defense is a better play. I think Philly is volatile. The Browns are going to get you something steady. Myles Garrett's going to do some damage here. So, I think the Browns are a solid floor play, but I think Philly is your upside player. I think Philly's going to get something for you here, and I think there's a good potential for a couple big plays here. Hope that helps. Let's see. And Drew wished everybody good luck, of course. Oh, Patterson is active. That's interesting. I still like the over on Montgomery for touches. That's interesting. Patterson, he didn't practice all week, and they activated him on Sunday. Robert, I see technical issues. If there's anything that you have question-wise, go ahead and post that in. Patterson's active. I still think so. I think now Montgomery probably sees closer to 70, 65%, 70% snap shares of 85. Still has a solid game here, but that's going to lower a little bit of Montgomery's upside, but he's still a rock solid start. He has done very well with Patterson in the lineup last week. Thank you for the catch on that. I'm glad you told me because I didn't get definitely on the stream. Didn't get to see the stuff. All right. So let's see. Washington, Carolina money line. This is a tough game. We don't know how well Antonio Gibson's going to look. That's important. You know what, guys? The inactives came out while I'm doing this, so if you guys can tell me who the quarterback is, that'll help. I'm not sure if Alex Smith or Haskins is starting. If you guys can tell me that, I want to circle back on that. Let me just get that and see. Bengals, Texans money line. Let me get that one, and then Johnny. I will get. So you know what? I think the Bengals are coming off of their Super Bowl last week. I think they laid it all on the line. They've been a bad team all year. They got that massive win. Now it's a short week. Texans, they play their game. Their season's over, but they play their game. I know they're missing some defensive pieces. Their safety, Eric Murray's out. But I think at the end of the day, I think Deshaun Watson is just fine here. Moves the ball enough. And actually, the middle linebacker for the Bengals out with David Johnson actually benefits from that. I think the Texans are a pretty solid play here. All right, let's see. Agree with Drew. Oh, man, appreciate you, Scott. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. Ratano, man. Yep, Drew. Oh, thank you. T. Higgins or Russell. Oh, that's a close one, Robert. That's a real close one. Thank you, Scott. That's very close. So T. Higgins is going to have an advantage because Eric Murray, the safety, is out. T. Higgins, I think, will play more slot than usual. He only plays like 40% slot, but no Tyler Boyd. And I'm not worried about any of the corners anyway for Houston. And Brandon Allen, we said this a few weeks back, he's back in the lineup. Brandon Allen will lock in on number one receiver and a tight end. It's been pretty much that way since he's been in there. So I think T. Higgins continues to see the targets. It's a good matchup for him. And T. Higgins can make stuff happen after the catch. I think the missing safety definitely helps him as well. I love Russell Gage this week. I think Gage is a phenomenal play. I think two linemen, the tackle and a guard are out for Atlanta, so they're not going to have much time to throw, which really helps Gage. I think Gage is safer because I think that this game, they're going to have to score a lot of points. I think Gage has to let Hertz. I think Hayden Hurst is going to be needed to block a lot more with two linemen out. And, we got Chris Jones, and I think Frank Clark, he had known that I think he's expected to play. That was the last I heard. Again, the inactives rolling while I'm on the stream. So I think Russell Gage is way safer. And I really don't know that Higgins has a much higher floor than Gage. But I think Gage is kind of the way to go here. I think, all right, let's back it up a bit, though. Higgins probably is more of a force in the red zone than Gage is, but Gage has scored recently. I'm still going to lean Gage here because I think the game script lends itself that way. If you got a gut feel on it, go with it, because I do like T. Higgins this week. I like them both. Honestly, these are both guys I've used in DFS this week. So that helps you understand. I like them both a lot. And but again, I think the higher scoring and the more likely to throw the ball probably is Matt Ryan in the passing game. So that's where I kind of lend there a little bit. Giles G-Man, standard scoring, DJ Moore or Deante Johnson. So aside from that case of the dropsies he had a couple of weeks ago, Deante, and that Monday night game against Buffalo where he was benched for over a quarter, otherwise he typically sees double-digit targets every game. And I think in standard scoring, I think you lose out on the PPR element here. And I think Deante is not getting a lot of yardage after the catch these days. So I think he's looking like your 50 to 60 yard guy. Always has a chance to score. If they get in the red zone, he could do some damage there. DJ Moore, I'm worried about his matchup because he has the longest average depth of target of those Panthers receivers. The left tackle, Russell Okung, is out. Washington brings a phenomenal pass rush with just 4. And so the problem is the downfield stuff may not work. Now he's DJ Moore. And DJ Moore, he doesn't only get long passes. He does catch some short ones. And then he can take something to the house because he's a superstar. So at the end of the day, I think that Johnson has a better floor. Johnson is going to get you 50 to 60 yards. You'll be in that range, and you're kind of okay there. I don't know how much upside he has this week. Indy, I think, does a decent job against him. I think he'll spend a fair amount of time, not that we're scared of Xavier Rhodes anymore, but he's had a decent season. He'll have a fair amount of time on him, and I think that may not be the best matchup for him because Johnson's not really a quick twitch guy. He's a guy I think that a good corner can slow a little bit, but he has a good floor. DJ Moore is going to be more boom or bust. DJ Moore could have a bad game here. He also could come up with 2 touchdowns and 100 yards. I think his risk tolerance. You want bank safe points this week. I think you go Deante. And if you're going to risk a little floor for some potential upside, I think you got to go with DJ Moore in that case. All right, let's see here. Robert, of course. Torak 41. Zach Ertz or Hayden Hurst today. All right, so